Have you ever found yourself trapped in an endless cycle of what-ifs and worst-case scenarios? Or spent hours replaying past conversations, imagining better responses, or worrying about future events that may never happen? Overthinking, that exhausting mental habit of excessive analysis and rumination, steals our peace, drains our energy, and prevents us from enjoying the present moment. For many of us, it's become so automatic, we don't even realize we're doing it. The average person has over 6,000 thoughts per day, but for overthinkers, the same negative thoughts play on repeat, creating anxiety, indecision, and mental fatigue. Stop Overthinking by Nick Trenton offers 23 practical techniques to quiet your mind, break free from rumination, and reclaim control of your mental space. We're going to explore this animated book summary about transforming your relationship with your thoughts. Before we get into the first idea, wouldn't it be better if you had a platform specially designed for visual learners like you? That's exactly what BookWatch offers. Discover thousands of animated book summaries, just like the one you are currently watching. You can also get personalized advice. Our AI expert is trained to know each book in our library, so you can ask him how to apply every book in your unique life situation. Stay focused by taking notes effortlessly. Press the button and let BookWatch capture key ideas along with their timestamps, so you can review and expand on them later. Not sure what to read next? Just tell our AI what you want to learn or your challenges, and it'll recommend the best books tailored to your needs. Track your journey with gamified progress. Earn streaks and achievements every time you dive into a new book. Click the link in the description to access BookWatch today. If you are enjoying our free content on YouTube, don't forget to like this video and subscribe to our channel. Now let's continue our video. Idea 1. Recognizing triggers. To understand the concept of recognizing triggers from a book that offers techniques to relieve stress and overthinking, let's talk about what it means to identify your triggers. Triggers are specific situations, people, or thoughts that kick off a cycle of overthinking in your brain. It's almost like pressing a button that starts a machine. Once the trigger happens, the overthinking begins. Realizing what these triggers are can be a game changer. Think of it like becoming a detective in your own life. You start paying close attention to when and why you begin to overthink. It could be something as simple as a comment from a friend, a particular place, or even a certain time of day when you notice your thoughts start racing. Once you've got a good understanding of your triggers, you can prepare for them. Imagine you know that every time you're about to face a big deadline, you start overthinking all the things that could go wrong. Knowing this, you can tackle the issue before it balloons. You could break down your work into smaller steps so it seems more manageable, or you could plan to talk through your worries with someone who can help you put things into perspective. It's about creating a personal awareness. You watch how you respond in different scenarios and jot down notes about what's happening around you when you feel the overthinking creeping in. Over time, you'll start to see patterns. And here's the thing. Recognizing triggers doesn't all happen at once. It's a skill you develop over time, and it takes regular practice. You may not stop overthinking altogether, but by knowing your triggers, you can reduce the times you fall into that overwhelming chain of thoughts and gain a sense of control. It's one piece in the puzzle of managing stress and overthinking that's meant to work alongside other techniques to build a calmer and more centered you. Idea 2. Dedicated worry time. The concept of dedicated worry time involves choosing a specific part of the day to concentrate on your worries and concerns. The idea is to contain your overthinking to a controlled environment so that it doesn't spill over and affect the rest of your day. Here's how it works. You set aside a period, say 15 to 30 minutes, at the same time every day, when you allow yourself to focus on whatever it is that's causing you anxiety. This is your time to mull over what's been bothering you, ponder possible solutions, or simply to accept that some things are out of your control. During this period, you fully engage with your worries without judgment. You could also write them down, as seeing the concerns on paper can sometimes make them seem more manageable and less daunting. The important part of this strategy is what happens outside of this dedicated time. Whenever you catch yourself starting to overthink during the day, you gently remind yourself to save these thoughts for your worry time. This way, instead of your mind running in circles all day, you learn to postpone the worrying, knowing that you'll have the time to deal with it later. By confining your worries to a specific slot, your mind gets more freedom during the rest of the day. You may find yourself less consumed by negative thoughts and more able to enjoy the moment, knowing that you'll address your concerns when the time is right. Idea 3. Mindfulness and meditation. Mindfulness and meditation are practices that help you focus on the present moment without judgment. When you practice mindfulness, you observe your thoughts and feelings from a distance, not labeling them as good or bad. Instead of getting caught up in your thoughts about the past or the future, mindfulness brings your attention to what is happening right now. Meditation is a specific way to practice mindfulness. It often involves sitting quietly, focusing on your breath, a word, or a phrase. The aim is to clear your mind of busy thoughts that can lead to overthinking. When you meditate, it's normal for your mind to wander. The key is to gently bring your focus back to your breath or chosen point of concentration each time you notice your thoughts drifting. By practicing mindfulness and meditation regularly, you learn to recognize when you're starting to overthink. This awareness gives you the chance to redirect your attention to the present. These practices can therefore help reduce stress as you become better at managing your thoughts and not letting them control your mood or behavior. The calm and stillness that comes from meditation can also have a relaxing effect on your body. It can lower your heart rate and blood pressure, helping you feel less stressed. Over time, these techniques can actually change the way your brain works, making you more resilient to stress and less prone to overthinking. Idea 4. Limit digital device use. Limiting digital device use means setting boundaries on how much time you spend staring at screens like your phone, computer, or tablet. The idea is that constant connection can lead to a lot of stress and overthinking. When you're always online, you're bombarded with information, news, and social updates, which can be overwhelming and make your brain work overtime as it tries to process everything. To put this idea into practice, you might decide on certain times of the day when you'll use your devices. Maybe you'll check your email and social media a few times a day instead of every few minutes. Or perhaps you choose to turn off your phone an hour before bed to help your mind relax and lead to better sleep. Reducing screen time can also help you become more aware of the present moment. Without a digital device in hand, you could engage more with the people around you, notice your surroundings, and focus on non-digital activities that you enjoy, which can be calming and reduce the urge to overthink. Lastly, taking breaks from your devices might help you feel more in control of your time and attention, which can be a big relief if you're used to feeling chained to your inbox or social media notifications. Idea 5. Regular physical activity. Regular physical activity is often recommended as a powerful way to combat overthinking and reduce stress. When you exercise, your body releases chemicals called endorphins. These are often called feel-good hormones because they help to improve your mood and provide a sense of well-being. Exercise can act as a distraction, giving you a break from the cycle of negative thoughts that feed into overthinking. By incorporating exercise into your routine, you can not only boost your overall health, but also provide structure to your day, which can help distract you from stressful thoughts. It can be anything from a brisk walk, a run, cycling, yoga, or even dancing. Any form of activity that gets you moving and increases your heart rate can be beneficial. Physical activity is also beneficial for your sleep patterns, which often get disrupted by stress and overthinking. By tiring your body out through exercise, you may find it easier to fall asleep and stay asleep, which can in turn make you feel more rested and less prone to overthinking the following day. It doesn't require strenuous workouts. It's about finding a form of exercise that you enjoy and that fits your lifestyle. The key is consistency and making it a regular part of your life. Even on those days when you might not feel like moving much, a little gentle exercise could still help in shifting your focus away from stressful thoughts. Idea 6. Journaling. Journaling is a powerful way to deal with overthinking. When you write down what's on your mind, it's like you're emptying all those racing thoughts onto paper. This can help clear your head and make things seem less daunting. Imagine your brain is like a computer that's got too many tabs open. Journaling helps you close some of those tabs. Think of a journal as a friend that's always there to listen, without any judgment. You can write about what's bothering you, your fears, hopes, or any random thoughts that pop into your head. It's a private space just for you, where you can be totally honest. Sometimes, when you read back what you wrote, you can see your thoughts from a different angle. This can help you understand your feelings better. It's not just about venting. Journaling can also be an organized way to tackle problems. By writing out a situation that's causing stress, you can break it down into smaller parts. This can make it easier to figure out steps to take to deal with the issue. Plus, when you write about positive things, like what you're grateful for, it can lift your mood and help you focus on the good stuff in life. You don't need any special tools to start journaling, just a pen and paper, or even a digital app if that's what you prefer. And there's no set rule on how to do it. Write anytime you feel like you need to, whether that's once a day or once a week. The important thing is that it's a regular habit. Think of it as a workout for your mental health. Just as you'd exercise your body, regular journaling exercises your mind and helps keep your thoughts in good shape. Idea 7. Cognitive restructuring. Cognitive restructuring is about changing how you think. It's about taking the thoughts that cause stress or anxiety and turning them into something helpful instead of something that weighs you down. Imagine you have a thought like, "I'm going to mess up this presentation." That's a thought that can start a cycle of overthinking. Now, cognitive restructuring would have you examine that thought, looking at it closely to see if it's really true or if it's just your fear talking. Once you look at your thought, you challenge it. Ask yourself, do I have evidence that I'll mess up, or have I done well in past presentations? By doing this, you focus on actual facts and not just on your worries. You might realize that you've prepared well and know your topic. Then you can change your thought to something more positive, like, "I'm ready and can handle this presentation." This process isn't just about swapping a bad thought for a good one randomly. It's about finding the truth behind your thoughts. It's like being a detective in your own mind. Once you find the truth, you teach your brain a new way of thinking that doesn't make you overthink or stress so much. Over time, practicing this method can make a big difference in how much you overthink things. It takes effort and practice, just like learning any other skill, but it can greatly reduce stress once you get the hang of it. Idea 8. Break down problems. When you're caught in a cycle of overthinking, one approach you can take is breaking down problems into smaller, more manageable pieces. This means instead of looking at a big, intimidating issue as one massive obstacle, you dissect it into parts that feel easier to handle. Start by identifying the main problem you're overthinking. It might be broad, like worrying about a project at work or planning a big event. Trying to tackle it all at once can be overwhelming and fuel your anxiety, making you feel stuck or paralyzed. To avoid this, take the main problem and split it into smaller tasks or questions. For instance, if you have a work project, those tasks could include outlining a plan, scheduling meetings, or allocating resources. For planning an event, you might break it down into choosing a date, finding a venue, or creating a guest list. With these smaller tasks laid out, you can focus on one piece at a time. It's like solving a puzzle. You find the corners and edges first, creating a frame, and then you fill in the middle, one piece at a time, until the full picture comes together. By dealing with smaller tasks, you'll likely find that you'll make steady progress. Each time you complete a task, it can give you a sense of achievement and reduce the stress associated with the larger issue. Taking these smaller steps can help keep the overthinking at bay, because you're too busy focusing on the next immediate action to be bogged down by the what-ifs and the magnitude of the entire problem. This method can also help create a sense of control over the situation, which is often lost when overthinking sets in. When you see yourself moving forward, even if it's just small steps, it counters the helplessness that can come with feeling overwhelmed. So next time you find your thoughts spiraling, Remember that big problems don't require big solutions all at once. Little by little, you can work your way through. Idea 9. Problem-solving focus. Switching your mind from a state of overthinking to a state of problem-solving can make a world of difference. When you overthink, you're often stuck in a loop of negative thoughts that seem to spiral without direction. Instead, by focusing on solving problems, you shift your mental energy toward finding solutions. Imagine you have a worry that's been on your mind for days. Instead of letting it spin around in your head, you begin by clearly defining what the issue is. Once you've identified the problem, you brainstorm various ways to address it. This might include writing down as many solutions as possible, no matter how outlandish they seem at first. After you've got a list of potential strategies, you evaluate them. You think about the pros and cons of each option, considering which solutions are feasible. You then select the most practical and effective one to move forward with. When you work through this process, your mind becomes occupied with constructive thoughts rather than the draining pattern of overthinking. You actively engage with your worry, transform it into a challenge, and take control by creating an action plan. This doesn't just reduce stress, it also empowers you, giving you a sense of accomplishment and progress. Remember too, problem solving isn't always instant. Some problems require more time to untangle, and that's perfectly okay. The key is to keep your thinking constructive and focused on moving forward step by step, rather than getting bogged down in the endless what-ifs that lead nowhere. Idea 10. Practice gratitude. To practice gratitude means to regularly acknowledge and appreciate the good things in your life, no matter how small they may seem. By doing so, you shift your focus away from negative thoughts that contribute to overthinking and stress. Gratitude can center you in the present moment and enhance your awareness of positive experiences, even amid difficulties or daily frustrations. You can practice gratitude by starting or ending your day with a reflection on things you're thankful for. This could involve thinking about a person who brings joy to your life, a job that provides for you, or something simple like a warm cup of coffee that started your morning just right. The key is to genuinely feel thankful and allow this feeling to sink in. You might also keep a gratitude journal where you write down a few things each day that you are grateful for. This can be particularly helpful on days when it feels hard to find anything positive, as it encourages you to seek out the good. Over time, keeping a gratitude journal can also show you trends and patterns of what consistently makes you feel good, which can be very useful in guiding future decisions and actions. Another method is to express your gratitude to others. Whether it's a simple thank you to someone who has helped you, or a more thoughtful note, card, or message, articulating your appreciation can strengthen your relationships and make both you and the recipient feel better. By making gratitude a habit, you refocus your mental energy on what's going well rather than getting stuck on what's going wrong, which can be a powerful strategy for breaking the cycle of overthinking. Idea 11. Limit news and social media. Sure, when we talk about the idea of limiting news and social media, it's essentially about controlling our exposure to the constant stream of information, much of which can be negative or anxiety-inducing. News and social media platforms are designed to keep us engaged as much as possible, often by presenting sensational or emotionally charged content. This can lead to a state of perpetual overthinking and stress as we try to process all of this information. By setting boundaries on when and how we consume news and social media, we can reduce the flood of information that demands our attention and often triggers the overthinking cycle. That might mean choosing specific times of the day to check the news or social media rather than checking constantly. It could also mean unfollowing or muting accounts that tend to post content that makes us feel anxious or upset. Another tactic is to curate our feeds so that we're more often exposed to positive content, like uplifting stories or educational content, rather than distressing news and polarizing opinions. This doesn't mean ignoring important events or staying uninformed, but rather being selective about the sources of our information and the impact they have on our mental state. Another benefit of limiting our intake of media is that it can free up more time for activities that relax and recharge us, like spending time with loved ones, pursuing hobbies, or simply unwinding without the buzz of digital distractions. This can help us to develop a more balanced perspective on life's challenges and reduce the tendency to overthink. By actively choosing to engage less with news and social media, we can regain control over our mental space, reduce stress, and stop the cycle of overthinking. Idea 12. Social connection. Social connection is about the importance of building and maintaining relationships with others as a way to help reduce stress and overthinking. When we connect with friends, family, or even acquaintances, we're given an opportunity to express our thoughts and feelings, which can often provide a new perspective that we hadn't considered. Talking to others helps us realize we're not alone in our experiences. Having strong social ties can also give us a sense of belonging and purpose, which can be especially reassuring when we find ourselves spiraling into a cycle of overthinking. Being part of a community or a group provides support and can buffer against the impact of stress. It's not just about having people to talk to, but also about feeling valued and understood. Additionally, engaging in social activities can be a great distraction from our own thoughts. It encourages us to focus on the present moment and on the people we're with, rather than getting caught up in our heads. Through laughter, shared activities, and even physical touch like hugs, our bodies release endorphins and other positive chemicals that naturally elevate our mood and reduce stress. This biological response helps counter the negative effects of overthinking, which often exacerbates anxiety and stress. Simple social interactions, such as a smile from a stranger or a kind gesture from a colleague, can lift our spirits and break the cycle of negative thoughts. Even when we might not feel like reaching out, taking that step can be beneficial. In times of high stress, having a friend to call or meet up with can provide immediate relief from overthinking and help us manage our stress levels more effectively. Idea 13. Accept uncertainty. Accepting uncertainty is about embracing the fact that life is inherently unpredictable. When you overthink, you might be trying to anticipate every possible outcome to feel prepared and safe. However, this constant need for certainty can lead to excessive stress and worry because it's impossible to predict everything. To start accepting uncertainty, you can practice letting go of the desire to control everything. Remind yourself that it's okay not to have all the answers and that you can handle whatever comes your way. This involves trust in your own resilience and problem-solving abilities. Another approach is to challenge your need for certainty. Ask yourself what would happen if things didn't go exactly as planned. Often, you'll find that the outcome is not as catastrophic as you imagined, and you can adapt to different scenarios. Think about past experiences when you faced the unknown and managed to navigate through it successfully. This can bolster your confidence that you can cope with future uncertainties. Also, try to stay present-focused. Worrying about the what-ifs of tomorrow pulls you out of the current moment, where you actually have the power to make a difference. By staying in the now, you reduce the space that uncertainty has to play in your mind. Lastly, be gentle with yourself as you learn to live with uncertainty. It takes time to adjust, and small steps can lead to significant changes in how you perceive and handle uncertain situations. The aim isn't to eliminate all doubt, but rather to develop a more comfortable relationship with the unknown. Idea 14. Prioritize sleep. Prioritizing sleep is essential for well-being, and it directly impacts our ability to manage overthinking and stress. When we don't get enough sleep, our mind can have a harder time controlling thoughts, which might lead to increased anxiety and stress. A lack of sleep can make it difficult for the brain to filter out irrelevant information, and as a result, we might start overthinking. To make sleep a priority, start by creating a cozy and welcoming sleep environment. Your bedroom should be a calming space, free from distractions and conducive to rest. Keep it cool, dark, and quiet, and if possible, reserve the bed for sleep only, not for work or watching TV. Establish a regular sleep schedule by going to bed and waking up at the same time every day. Consistency reinforces the body's sleep-wake cycle, and over time, this can help reduce overthinking at night when you're trying to fall asleep. Develop a bedtime routine that signals to your body it's time to wind down. This might involve reading a book, taking a warm bath, or doing some gentle stretching or breathing exercises to relax your body and mind. These activities can help ease the transition from wake time to sleep time. Be mindful of your intake of caffeine and heavy meals late in the day. Stimulants can interfere with your ability to fall asleep, and feeling physically uncomfortable can keep your mind active at night. Instead of lying in bed worrying about things you have to do the next day, consider writing a to-do list before going to sleep. By getting your thoughts out on paper, you might find it easier to let go of them and drift off to sleep. If you find that overthinking is still keeping you awake, it might be helpful to get out of bed and engage in a quiet, non-stimulating activity until you feel sleepy. Avoid lying in bed awake, as this can create an unwanted association between your sleeping environment and alertness. By making sleep a key part of your routine, you give your mind and body the rest they need, which can help you manage overthinking and reduce stress. When you're well rested, it's easier to approach problems with a clearer mind and a more balanced perspective. Idea 15. Deep breathing techniques. Deep breathing techniques are a powerful tool for calming the mind and reducing stress. When you're overthinking, your body might respond by becoming tense, and your breathing can become quick and shallow. This type of breathing can actually increase feelings of anxiety and stress, creating a cycle of overthinking. To break this cycle, try deep breathing. This involves taking slow, controlled breaths, which can help shift your body out of the fight or flight state and into a state of relaxation. One common method is to breathe in deeply through your nose, allowing your stomach to expand fully, and then exhale slowly through your mouth. As you focus on the rhythm of your breathing, you give your mind a single task that anchors you in the present moment, helping to quiet the whirlwind of thoughts. Another technique within deep breathing is the 4-7-8 method. You breathe in for a count of 4, hold the breath for a count of 7, and exhale for a count of 8. Doing this for a few cycles can have a notable calming effect on the mind and body. By practicing deep breathing regularly, you can train your body to return to this relaxed state more easily over time, reducing both the frequency and intensity of overthinking. It's also a quick, convenient method that you can use almost anywhere when you notice your thoughts spiraling out of control. Remember to take these breathing exercises slowly at first and consider them a skill to be developed with practice. Idea 16. Engage in hobbies. Engaging in hobbies is a wonderful way to divert your mind from the cycle of overthinking. When you focus on an activity that brings you joy, whether it's painting, playing a musical instrument, gardening, or any other pastime, your attention shifts away from anxious thoughts to the task at hand. Hobbies are not just time fillers, they're therapeutic. They can instill a sense of calm, can be a source of pleasure, and can even lead to a state of flow where you're so engrossed in what you're doing that time and worries seem to melt away. When you do something you love, it can increase your brain's production of feel-good chemicals like dopamine. This not only makes you happier, but also more relaxed and less prone to overthinking. Additionally, hobbies can offer a sense of accomplishment. Finishing a craft project, learning a new song on an instrument, or cooking a new recipe can give you a satisfying feeling that counters doubts and ruminative thoughts. It's also worth noting that hobbies can help you build a social network. Joining clubs or groups related to your interests can connect you with like-minded people. This social aspect can be incredibly beneficial as it provides support, friendship, and an outlet to share your interests and concerns, further helping to reduce stress and overthinking. Idea 17. Set realistic goals. Setting realistic goals is about creating targets that are achievable and reasonable, considering your current circumstances, resources, and time constraints. This means looking at what you want to accomplish and breaking it down into smaller, more manageable steps. These smaller steps should be clear and specific, so you know exactly what you need to do and can measure your progress along the way. When you set goals that are too ambitious or vague, it can lead to feeling overwhelmed and may cause you to overthink how to achieve them. Overthinking can stall your progress and increase your stress levels. However, when you set realistic goals, you give yourself the chance to succeed without putting unnecessary pressure on yourself. It helps in building confidence as you meet these smaller objectives, which can reinforce your belief in your ability to handle bigger tasks. Also, consider the time frame you give yourself to achieve these goals. Make sure it's sufficient to complete the tasks without rushing, which would help you avoid the anxiety that comes from tight deadlines. This approach not only helps in reducing stress, but also keeps you motivated as you're able to see tangible results from your efforts. Keep in mind that achieving goals is a process, and it's normal to face setbacks along the way. Being flexible and willing to adjust your goals as needed can help manage stress and prevent overthinking. Instead of seeing changes to your goals as failures, view them as part of the learning and growth process. This perspective allows you to deal with challenges more calmly and keeps you moving forward. Idea 18. Self-compassion. When it comes to self-compassion, the idea is about treating yourself with the same kindness that you would offer to a good friend. This means when you're going through tough times or notice that you're criticizing yourself, you try to be understanding and gentle with yourself instead of being harsh or judgmental. Think about how you'd talk to someone you care about if they were upset or made a mistake. You probably wouldn't say mean things or tell them they should have known better. You'd likely be supportive and offer comforting words. That's what self-compassion is about, but directed at you. Adopting this approach can help with overthinking, because often overthinking comes from worries that we're not good enough or that we've messed up in some way. By being compassionate toward yourself, you can ease some of that concern. You start to realize it's okay to be imperfect and that errors don't define your worth. Self-compassion can also help you to handle emotions better. Instead of beating yourself up when you're feeling down or anxious, you can acknowledge that feeling bad is part of life sometimes. You then give yourself permission to feel those things without letting them spiral out of control, which often happens when you overthink. One way to practice self-compassion is by noticing when you're being self-critical and then consciously switching your internal talk to something more supportive. It's like you're giving yourself a hug instead of a scolding. This can take practice, especially if you're used to being hard on yourself, but over time it can become more natural. Self-compassion isn't about making excuses for your mistakes or avoiding responsibility. It's about recognizing that everyone has flaws, and that's all right. When you embrace this, you might find that you spend less time mulling over your faults and more time enjoying. Idea 19. Reduce stimulant intake. When you're trying to calm your mind, one important thing to consider is how much caffeine or other stimulants you're taking in. These substances, particularly caffeine, can rev up your nervous system and make you feel more on edge or jittery. This can lead to a sort of feedback loop where your body feels more stressed, which in turn can cause your mind to race and spiral into more overthinking. Now imagine your brain is like a busy highway. On a normal day, there's a lot of traffic, but it flows smoothly. When you take in stimulants, it's like rush hour. Everything gets congested, and that smooth flow turns into a gridlock. Your thoughts start to honk and blare like car horns, and it can be hard to focus on any one thing because there's just so much noise. To help manage this, reducing the amount of coffee, energy drinks, or even certain sodas you consume can be a big help. Think about swapping out some of your caffeinated drinks for alternatives like water, herbal tea, or decaf options. It's not about cutting it out completely. Some people find a little caffeine can help them, but finding the right balance so your brain isn't stuck in that mental traffic jam. Watching out for other stimulants in your diet, like sugar and some over-the-counter medications, can also be useful. Pay attention to labels and how your body feels after you eat or drink certain things. If you notice you start overthinking more after a big cup of coffee or a sugary snack, that's a clue that those might be items to cut back on. By reducing your intake of these stimulants, you're basically giving your brain a quieter, more chill environment to operate in. And when your brain isn't so hyped up, it can be easier to think things through calmly and stop that overthinking cycle before it gets out of hand. Idea 20. Professional help. Seeking professional help is an important step if overthinking is making daily life hard to manage. At times, worries and stressful thoughts can become too much for one to handle alone. This is where therapists or counselors come in. They are trained to listen and offer guidance on how to think in healthier ways. Therapists can help identify reasons behind overthinking, like anxiety or depression. They might use different methods, like cognitive behavioral therapy, CBT, to change unhelpful thought patterns. Talking to a professional gives a safe space to let out thoughts without being judged, which can be a big relief. Sometimes, just knowing that there's someone to talk to who understands how the mind works can make a big difference. They can offer new perspectives on problems and teach coping skills to use in everyday life. If stress is taking over and self-help techniques just aren't cutting it, it's okay to ask for help. When one decides to see a therapist, they may start by setting up regular appointments. In these sessions, they'll talk about what's been bothering them and work on strategies to calm their mind. Remember, it's perfectly normal to seek help, and doing so is a smart way to take care of one's mental health.